Welcome back to the NSCollectionView session. Today we are going to take a look on grid layout. First of all, I want to tell you why I started to explore the grid layout. I was having a request in making the collection view like a to-do list app, and right now I'm using flow layout. So naturally, I would think maybe I make the item width wider so it looks like one item per row. So that's why I started with the storyboard and then find the collection view for layout. So I check like the view setting right now is 480. So I go to the collection view and then set it to 480 and then set all the spacing and inset to 0 and run the application. Then there are two problems happening. First one is that it shows a warning here saying my current item is having a big value which didn't minus the inset left and right. However, my inset left and right is set to 0 already, so it should be just okay. Then I play around with it by changing this minus 2 points to 478. I'm guessing 1 point for the left and 1 point for the right. If I run it again, it may still have a problem, but at least it looks like a little bit nicer. And I further change it to some other value, it will eventually eliminate the warning like now. But the problem didn't solve. Say if I'm now resizing the window, it becomes looks like this. It didn't grow, and there are no way to set auto layout because, like for instance, the item file is in a separate file, separately file, so I couldn't set the auto layout, and I could tell you neither setting it in code works. And for this particular window, if I minimize the width, the warning comes back in again. So I started to explore a different layout, including the default provided grid layout. By simply choosing grid here in the storyboard, and then you could see like there are some other attributes here, and I could set it up here. Say I just want one column and say only 5 rows and run the application. Then something happened, a bit weird, but at least it is holding the whole height here, not really what I want. And I try to swap it, say changing this to 1 and changing this to 5. It looks like the same. And then perhaps I'm thinking to change the item size as well. Say the width, I would just prefer like 400 and then height is 50. Let's see what happened. It doesn't look good either. So instead of setting these values in the storyboard, I'm going to say in code. So I just reset it all back to 0 and then check out the code. The coding part is in the view controller because I am setting the collection view to this view controller. And in order to set the layout programmatically, I can do collection view layout, and I set to the layout I want. And I'm going to define the layout here. For instance, using the default NSCollectionView grid layout. Then I could set the attribute here. Say I could set the number of columns, maximum number of columns to 1. And let's try running the application. It looks a bit better, at least it's showing 1 column. And if I resize the window, it will change accordingly. The red color is expressed in the item, so it proves that the item is changing its frame size accordingly. But then it is still having like such a small height for each item, so I'm going to change a little bit. Quite laterally again, I would just think maybe I could set like the maximum number of rows to 5, right? So I'm going to run it. What you may see is like this. It is showing great 5 rows in the current visible red, and 1 column only. And the auto layout seems working as well. But then I am now having 20 items in total, so I should be able to scroll it. However, it doesn't allow me to scroll. It just fixes that 5 rows, which is not what I want. So I'm going to change the code again. Instead of using the maximum number of rows, I'm going to set the minimum item size. So as written in the header, if I default it to 0 size, then the layout will attempt to infer the minimum dimension from the provided item prototype view frame size. So that's why I'm going to set it to NS 0 red. Let's take a look. It should be size. Okay, setting the 0 size to the size. So naming is really important in programming. But then it just go back to what's before. Then instead of setting both height and width to 0, how about I just set the height to 0 by doing NS size, width and height. The width will be just a random value and height to be 0. Still not working. How about changing? The width is 0 to use the default value, and then height is the value I want, say 50. Now it seems to be better, like it's showing 50 points for each row, and I am now able to scroll it. Although you may still see some strange behavior, like the scroll bar is not quite visible, and if I choose a particular row, it becomes selected. If I scroll it through and then come back, the selected color may disappear, and there's some odd behavior here as well. So maybe I'm missing something, but what I want to show you now is that grid layout does its work in showing the grid, and I treat it with some values, so it becomes like a list-based application. More to explore though, so tomorrow let's take a look on a custom layout.